Hi everyone, and today we are going to read about one of the interesting companies in the infra sector, and the name is AJAX Engineering. So just a quick disclaimer that this is not a buy or sell recommendation. So let's start. So AJAX Engineering was established in 1992 for manufacturing the SLCM, which means the self-loading concrete mixers, and it is a market leader in this product. It was headquartered in Bengaluru. They have 3 different manufacturing facilities within the Bengaluru. Also, it comes in the top 3 global SLCM manufacturers, and they have a market share of 75% in India. And they have developed more than 141 construction equipments, and also they have sold more than 33,000 units, along with which includes 30,000 SLCM units. So this company was founded by 3 people, which were Krishnaswamy Vijay, the late Jacob John, and Anil Kumar Singh. So AJAX has a very strong in-house design, engineering and development, which includes around 70 full-time employees who are doing the research part in their company. And if we take a look at the shareholding pattern, 80% is with the promoters, which is a good sign. Then FIs are holding 5.95%, DIs are 7.92%, and the public is around 6.14%. Now let's take a quick look at the history of the company. So 1992 was the time when the company started, and then they collaborated with Eurostar to manufacture and distribute the planetary mixers. Then they inaugurated the second factory in Karnataka. Afterwards, they collaborated with Junjin Heavy Industries, and in 2018, they established their dealership mode across the pan-India. They also inaugurated their 4th factory in Karnataka. Then in 2019, they received a private equity investment of 300 crores by the Kedara Capital Fund. And if we look at 2023, they also launched 3D concrete printing machine. So from SLCM machines to 3D printers, they have increased their SKUs in the company. Now let's get to the next segment, which is the industry overview. So if we look over here, the cement consumption in India is projected to grow at a CAGR of 8% from FY24 till FY29. And also it is because of the reasons of the construction activities which are going on in India, particularly related to the rural housing and the infra development. And one thing to notice, if we take a look at the sectorial consumption, the rural housing projects consist of 33%, the infra projects consist of 30%, and then it is followed by the urban housing and the industrial commercial holdings, which are at around 23% and 14% in FY24. So this is also a good sign, because we need more development in the rural places in order to grow our economy. Now this is a very interesting data point, that concrete manufacturing and consumption, it involves 3 methods. The first method is the manual mixing, where the laborers or the manual mixers, they utilize directly on the construction sites, and the cement is sourced from dealers and transported to the site. The second method is the SLCM method, which enhances the production speed and the consistency. And the third method is the ready mix concrete, which is done through the batching plants. So this is done by the use of transit mixers to transport the pre-mixed concrete to the production facility. As of now, I have just given the quick brief of what are the products and what are the usage. I have also attached a product segment ahead in the sheet, where we will go in depth about each of the products which are they are using in their company. And now this is a very interesting data point which I have attached on the right hand side. So we can see that in FY19, the SLCM market share was 10%, but now it has gone up to 14% in FY24, and it is expected that it will go up to 24% by FY29. And whereas the manual mixing, which was 84%, has reduced to 75%, and it is expected that it will come down to 59%. So this is a clear indication that this segment is growing, and AJAX Engineering is definitely going to benefit from this data point. Also, if we take a look at the RMC, it is 6%, and it has increased to 11% in FY24, and it is expected to go up to 17% in FY29. And now let's take a look at the market share of each players in this segment. So this is the image I have attached. So the products in this segments are SLCM, batching plants, transit mixers, stationary concrete pumps, boom pumps, the pavers, and 3D printers. And AJAX has presence in all the units, whereas if we take a look at the other 3 companies, there is some product which is missing in their SKUs, but AJAX has all the products in their SKUs. So that is a very good sign for the company. And on the right hand side, I have also attached another image, that if we take a look at the market share of each players in this segment, AJAX has 75%, whereas Schwingstetter, which is not an Indian company, has 16% market share in this segment, and then Venus, KYB Conmat and Macons, which are Indian companies, have a very small market share in this segment. And now let's get to the next part, which is the revenue segment. So there are three revenue segments. The first is the SLCM segment, which consists of 84.5% of their revenue, and JM Financials are expecting that the revenue is going to grow at 14% CAGR from FY25 till FY28. The second revenue segment is the non-SLCM. So non-SLCM consists of 8.7% of their revenue, and in this segment they are expecting that the revenue is going to grow at 20% CAGR. Now let's take a deeper look at the each products in this segment. So the first is the batching plants. So batching plants are used to accurately mix the cement, water and in large quantities, which is mostly used for the big construction projects. The second product is the transit mixers. So the purpose of this product is that the rotating drums that keep the concrete mixed, so they prevent concrete from setting during transit where it is going from point A to point B. The third product is the boom pumps. So it is a truck mounted machines which is used to pour concrete at a very high height or the areas which are very hard to reach, so which is ideally useful in the high rise buildings and the large slab areas. The fourth product is the concrete pumps, which is also used in a similar way where it's difficult to reach. The fifth product is the self-propelled boom pumps. So it is used to pour concrete in the tight or urban spaces and where the area is very limited. The sixth product is the slip form pavers. So this is used where if something is need to be shaped and used to smooth the surface. So these are used in highways and the airport runways. And the last product is the 3D concrete printers. The use of the 3D printer is to print building layers by using the concrete. So the 3D printers are fast and automated. So that's why they reduce the time and effort which is needed manually. And the third revenue segment is the spares and the service part, which consists of 6.7% of their revenue. Also, if we take a look at some of the other financial ratios, currently they have a PEG ratio of 1.3, which is a good sign below any 1.5 PEG ratio. They have a CFO by EBITDA of 13%, which is also again a good sign, and the debt to equity ratio is 0. So overall, these financial ratios are looking good. So on the right hand side, I have attached one image to see where the products are being used. So these products are used in multiple segments like the airports, railways, urban infra, waterways, roads, irrigation and more. Now let's come to the next part, which is the financial analysis. And if we take a look at their FY25 financials, they gave a revenue of 2073 crores, EBITDA of 318 crores with a margin of 15.3%, and they have given a PAT of 260 crores. And if we take a look at FY27 and FY28, so the sales growth is constant over the 3 years, but the margins are going to dip in FY26, but then it is going to recover in FY27, in FY28. And even if we take a look at their ROIC, ROE, that is also going to dip in this coming year. And also after summers, there is usually a slowdown in the economy infrastructure wise, so that's why this data point also makes sense. Now if we take a look at their P, currently it's trading at 27, and they are expecting that by FY28 it is going to be 18. So forward P valuation wise, it is still looking attractive. And also we should see this segment as a long-term thing because infra growth is not a short-term play. And the last thing is the EV by EBITDA. Currently it's 21.4, and they are expecting that by FY28 it's going to be 13.8. So that's a very good drop in the EV by EBITDA. So now let's get to the next part, where what is the management focusing for the future. So the first point, company has said that they're going to do a transition from CEV4 to CEV5, which will be very smooth compared to what it was previously from CEV3 to 4. So as we can see over here, that the previous transition from the CEV3 to 4 in April 21, because of that they saw a price increase of 12 to 18%, and they saw a rise in commodity price of around 5 to 6% due to the COVID, and that cost increase was absorbed over a span of 2 to 3 years. And now during this transition, they are expecting that the cost is going to increase of 8%, and the commodity inflation is only going to be around 1 to 2%. The second point they have mentioned is that the capacity expansion they have done at Hosa Ali is going to be operational by the second half of FY26. They have set up a new plant in Karnataka which spreads over 14 acres in their phase 1, and also they are setting up a plant of approximately 7 acres, and they are going to do a total capex of 40 crores. The third point they have discussed is that they have strong in-house design, development and engineering capabilities, which consist of 70 full-time employees. They also have a school which is called the AJAX School of Concrete, which is a research, development and training facility, and in that part they're focused on finding solutions in integrating the advanced concrete machinery. Also, they have done a significant innovation in SLCM with a load cell. So the use of the load cell tech is that it provides quality assurance in concrete production, which is used in precise measurement of cement, water, sand and aggregate. The fourth point they have talked about is exploring opportunities for inorganic growth. So except the organic growth, they're also focusing on acquisitions which will offer them technological synergies, which will increase their customer base and also increase their geographic reach. The fifth point they have discussed is that the tech-led assembly and the manufacturing process and the robust supplier network. So currently they assemble the equipment and the manufactures boom arms using the horizontal boring machines. They're operating under a lean assembling and manufacturing model. And the last point they have discussed is that they have a large dealer network which is widespread distribution model. So currently they have 51 dealers across 22 states in India. Also, they have 111 touch points which consist of 51 dealer headquarters and 60 branch managed and operated by its dealers as of March 2025, and they have also maintained relationships which exceeds more than 5 years with 20 dealers. And if you take a look at geography wise, they are present in 48 countries and 26 international distributors. So here we are going to analyze their current quarter and what are the statements given in their current con call. So the first point is that the revenue grew 15% year on year and 40% quarter on quarter to 760 crores in fourth quarter FY25, and their SLCM revenue grew 13% YOY to 660 crores. Then their SLCM volume grew by 12% YOY to 2045 units in Q4 FY25. Then their EBITDA was flat at 111 crores and they reported EBITDA margin which declined by 195 basis point and it came down to 14.7%. So the drop in the EBITDA margins is definitely not a good sign in the short term. Then they had a other expense of 6 crores which was because of the legal and professional expense, and because of that their EBITDA was 15.5%. Then in the fifth point, the reported PAT was 91 crores and their interest provision was 2.7 crores. And the last point, which is a positive sign for the company, is that they are currently debt free and they have 690 crores in cash liquid investments, and they also have a very healthy working capital. Now after reading all these things, let's come down to the risk in this company and in this overall segment. So the first risk is that they have a dependence on the SLCM market, and the demand of this segment is purely dependent on the current economy and it is a kind of a cyclical business. So the key sectors where their performance is tied up to is the construction, infra and the real estate. But after the rate cuts, this industry is looking good. The second risk is the geographic concentration risk, because as of FY24, they have 4 operational assembling and manufacturing facilities which are all in Karnataka. And the other 2 risks are the regulatory compliance risk and the raw material risk. Now let's get to the last part, which is the technical analysis. So if we take a look at their chart price, it recently came up with their IPO and it got listed on 17 Feb 2025 and it's still currently trading at almost the same price which it got listed. So it is consolidating a bit, but after reading all these data points, I am bullish on this company. So thank you for watching this video. I hope these data points of the AJAX Engineering was helpful. And also, what do you think about the company, whether it will do good or bad in the coming future? You can write down your opinions in the comment section. Until then, see you in the next video.